Welcome back to Darwin Circle Conference. We have a very distinguished speaker with us now, Edwin Diender, Huawei Enterprise Tech CIO. Edwin, welcome in our interview.
Thank you for having me.
I've just learned some new terms, Energiverse.
Energiverse.
What does it mean, and how do you come about it, and
why do I push it?
Why do you push it?
Why do I push the Energiverse? There's a couple of things that relate actually to this. If you think of energy as data, or if you think of data as energy, I work for Huawei Technologies, as you mentioned, and we're one of the pioneers when it comes to transforming a copper wire infrastructure like a telephone network into what today is the World Wide Web of computing and the World Wide Web of communications. If you then think about that experience that we have in having done that, creating a complete new worldwide infrastructure for different kind of services. And if you then make a parallel to energy or the energy network, or more specifically, the electricity network, which is about the same age as the communications network, more than 100 years old, and the power grid, as they call it, grid is another word for infrastructure, but this power cable maybe has the same potential to be transformed in a similar way. So the idea is that I have is to transform the traditional or the conventional power grid via smart grid and by adding intelligent connectivity into what I envision a world wide web of energy, which is what I often coin the Energiverse. To me, that's what the Energiverse then is about.
Is that metaverse for energy, or how do you define it?
I would say that without the Energiverse, there's no metaverse, because without energy, there's nothing. And it's a bit of a wordplay, of course, but Energiverse actually exists. It comes from space science. It is all the energy in outer space combined. And that together is called an Energiverse. So I'm trying to take it away from outer space. I'm trying to bring it into inner space. I'm trying to bring it into this world, because I really believe that a world wide web of energy is something to aspire and something to appeal to, especially when we think about green technology, greener future, carbon neutrality or zero carbon and that sort of things, and sustainability. Because with an Energiverse, a world wide web of energy, just like we have a world wide web of information, with a world wide web of information, there are so many insights that we're having on data usage, and how to optimize daily operations for all services. If we think about this from an energy point of view, I think the parallels are very strong.
What kind of role will technology play in carbon reduction in the future?
I think for insights, a predominant one. But I also think for pushing down the usage of it. I can give you a good example. If you look at computing power today versus maybe 20 or 30 years ago, then the amount of energy that the computing power needs today and the machinery that is generating that, or the request for power, so to speak, from computing systems today is lower than before. And that sounds very different to us, because we think the more computers and the more computing, the more power it will use. But the current systems are very low on power consumption. The current version of computing systems are lower on power consumptions than the previous version. So that's one part. The second part sits with the ability of the current computing systems to generate its own power. Another example would be any kind of data center or an application server farm that needs power can be foreseen with an energy generating part. It can have a wind turbine connected to the building. It can have solar panels, or the heat of other data centers can be reused to generate energy. So the current computing systems and the current data center services have the ability as well to generate their own power. That means they are almost independent.
Self-sustaining.
Self-sustaining, and that taps into, of course, sustainability and the Sustainable Development Goals. So how and where do technology and green link? Green IT is a term that already exists for a long time. I think the color green becomes greener as we move forward.
Is Energiverse green?
Oh, very, I would say, very. From a color point of view, because there is a psychological aspect to the color green. Maybe your audience doesn't know that, or maybe they do. But if you're in a room that has different colors, certain colors tap into your emotion. Research shows that a green room or a green environment, like in a forest or a park, or a green color on your wall, creates a calmer environment for you to work. And so I would say Metaverse combined with the Energiverse creates a greener mindset as well.
How far from Energiverse are we? Is it there already, or are you still working on it?
It depends on definition or point of view. I would say it's already there because, of course, it's nothing new. It's also not there because we're not pretty much aware of it. What I mean by that is, it is there, Because if you think about how energy storage, energy management, energy mobility, energy distribution are at play as we speak, electronic vehicles and smart charging infrastructures have a lot of intellect. Your application on your phone that is connected to your car, and anywhere where you are, your car might speak to you and give you information that it's almost charged or that it needs to be charged. Or it's not connected properly to the charging infrastructure, or it's being disconnected from the charging infrastructure because someone else is using your power socket, for example, in the parking garage where you not are. That kind of information is an example of how a World Wide Web of energy, in analogy to a World Wide Web of information sharing, is actually already at play. The bigger version of this, of course, comes where the systems and services start to speak to each other. For example, there's one parking garage, or there's a residential area, multiple parking garages, all connected with smart charging infrastructures to smart cars and electronic vehicles. An electronic vehicle, in my opinion, is a tablet on wheels. It runs a lot of applications. And these 100 or these 200 or these 350 cars are speaking to each other. I'm car number 1. I am at 80% of charging. You're car number 2. You are at 10%. You need energy the most. I know that via intelligent connectivity and integration of databases that the owner of me, because I'm the car, is in a meeting for another 4 hours. Maybe I don't need a fully charged right now at 90 or 80%. Car number 2 can take the full charge. And when you're at 80% and I'm at 80%, we can share information where we both use the power grid in a different way.
When could this be a reality? Is the technology...
I think this is already actually happening. The only thing that's not happening is that we're allowing these systems to share this information in too much detail. But as I said before, an electronic vehicle and your application as the owner of that car is speaking to you. It's giving you information about data that sits in the car with energy that also sits in the car. And it allows you to sit where you like, use any device of your choice, and consider your car as a tablet on wheels, and an application tells you how and where to go.
So would you say there's no substantial carbon reduction possible without technology and software?
Of course there is. You can shower less at a less warmer temperature, and so on and so forth. There's many, let's say, mechanical and manual ways of dealing with carbon neutrality and being very aware of how and in what way you can reduce your energy consumption. What we're trying to get across is that if we keep doing this as humanity and as mankind, even the combined brain power of all the people on Earth will not be able to deal with the vast amount of information that we need to process, to learn from it in such a way that we can accelerate this faster and better and maybe even circle back. We need computing systems to help us calculate this and compute it. We also need computing systems to help us advise and give us insights, maybe about things that are happening on the other side of the world that we don't know yet. But the infrastructure has that insight. And only computing power and, let's say, green IT is helping us to also be a greener society in real life, so to speak.
Amazing. How big is your team at Huawei working on this topic?
My team, I am working in our electric power digitization business unit. We are around 7,000 people worldwide, but as a company we are a little more than 200,000 people worldwide, of which all of them are aware of the benefit, the need, and the driving force, not only for security and systems and services in our daily operations, but also the carbon neutrality, the greener part, the lowering of power consumption, and the awareness of how and in what way energy consumption should be prone in everything you do and every new innovation that you design.
Fantastic. Keep it up. Thank you much. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your questions.
That was a very impressive interview on Energyverse. We'll stay on this story. Stay tuned. Thank you and goodbye.